Hi everyone, welcome back to another video on the Redmi Note 8 Pro. So this is a follow-up which I'll fool you on the battery life stats. So I'll just get straight to it. So if you didn't see the first video, that was the only thing that I was lacking because I'm always using the phone, benchmarking, taking photos, plugging it in. So let's have a look, see what we can expect to get out of this. So it's been on wireless about 70% of the time, 30% on data. And I've just done my standard kind of testing and use that I always do. So the display has been configured to 200 nits of brightness. So we'll first look at the screen on time. So it's 9 hours and 30 minutes, which is about 1 hour less of screen on time than the Redmi Note 7 that I reviewed. So this is the difference here. We're seeing, as I mentioned in the first video, that the MediaTek chips just don't seem to be quite as efficient. Now, I will show you what I've actually done with that, with the applications, what I've been running. So you can see PUBG, that I think I did about 3 hours. Okay, well, 2.5 hours of PUBG gaming. And I wanted to just reconfirm no problems with the thermals. Now, I will do another test here because a lot of people were going, hey, you didn't test it for long enough. Half an hour gaming's not enough. Half an hour demanding use isn't enough. But I've gamed for 2 hours. And trust me when I say that it's just getting slightly warm. And I'm only seeing temperatures of about 35 degrees. Now, if you gamed for 4 hours and you had the screen at 100% brightness and you had quick charge, you had it plugged in, quick charging at the same time, then of course it will probably get much higher than that. A bit of YouTube as well, that was on for 1 hour, so you can see there's the use there. Now, standby battery drain, I did do a check of that. I left it overnight and I lost 4%. So it's not too bad at all, considering that was a period of about 11 hours or 10 hours of standby. So for that 4% lost, not a bad figure at all. So what is surprising me is this MediaTek, the Helio 90T, is performing really quite well. To me, if you didn't tell me it was a MediaTek chip, you wouldn't really know. Okay, on the first firmware update when it came through, you did see some stutter and lag, and it was a little bit problematic there. It wasn't the performance that we should have, that we do now have with the latest update. So you can multitask really fine, no problems, full screen gestures. I'm not really seeing any lag. Sometimes when you swipe up to go to recent apps, you might see a little bit, but really I'm not having any problems with that at all. So what Xiaomi needs to do is fix just those things I pointed out in my full review, so make sure you check that video. But one of them, the big one, is the Widevine level 1 support. So we cannot watch Netflix or Amazon Prime video with full HD. Not that I would actually personally be doing that on a mobile phone. I always watch that on a TV or something else. So there were a lot of questions as well about the camera. I wanted to just go into that. Now, I have been taking some more samples in good lighting conditions, so daylight. And we can see right here now, what I'm showing you is the 16 megapixel image, the default that you get. So it's being pixel binned. And you can see here that there's a lot of detail. However, look at this image now. This is using the 64 megabyte mode. Now that's interpolated, so it's not a true 64 megabytes. And unfortunately, all manufacturers seem to be joining now that megapixel race again. But have a look at this. When you crop in, this is where the 64 megapixel image is really useful. Cropping in, you can see, look around at the pollen, the little tiny little bits that you can see here, that the details you're getting now when you crop in with these images are really amazing, really good for the 64 megapixels, but it doesn't always work out to be best. Like in some lighting conditions, I just find the 16's fine, and for most people, social media sharing and things like that, go with the 16 megapixel. It's only when you crop in then you're going to get the true advantage. You can see with the sample image that I actually posted on Twitter as well, you see the difference between the signs here. Look at the text here. Look at how much sharper it is. So there is clearly a big difference here because of that huge jump in resolution, the 16 versus the 64. So the cameras for me turning out to be, I think, with a little bit of tweaking and some more firmware updates from Xiaomi, to be really better than the Redmi Note 7. So in my eyes, this is a true upgrade. For some, probably not the chip because of the battery life slightly less. But that's why they gave us the 500 milliamp hours more, because of that, just to compensate. And of course, as I pointed out in the full review, that we got the slimmer bezels, so the chin at the bottom is quite a bit smaller here. The minor thing with a little bit of shadowing around the notch there because of the IPS panel. But overall, this is a very good phone. So I wanted to do now just a test. I'm going to run the phone. I'm going to game for 2 hours approximately. Let's see how hot it gets. And then worst case scenario, put the case on it, because that acts as an insulator. I've got the case right here, by the way. So I'll put that on it, and I will charge and game at the same time, and we'll see then just how hot it gets, because a lot of people seem to think I'm hiding the fact that it's got a heating issue, that it's getting far too hot. And for me, it is just simply not the case. Number one, I don't hide things like that. Why would I? And yeah, number two is it's just actually not getting hot at all, really, just slightly warm to the touch. But let's have a look now after 2 hours of gaming non-stop. Okay, so we're coming up to 2-hour mark now that I've been gaming. I want to check the thermals on that, so you can see, there we go, actually right on the 2 hours. And it is getting warm, but just how warm is it? Now, I'm not charging at the same time. I haven't been using the case. Ambient temperatures right here are only about 25 degrees. I do have the air conditioning on, so of course, if you're playing in a very hot environment, then expect things to get a lot hotter than what this is. All right, so we're getting up to about now 40 degrees. So that is a big difference from the about 30 I had after 30 minutes of gaming in the original video. But this is to be expected. All mobile phones are going to get up to very similar kind of temperatures here. On the back, almost 40 there. And that looks to be about it there. So these temperatures, they are still perfectly fine. This is not scalding me. It's not burning me or anything like that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the case on it, so that'll make it get even more hotter, build up heat there, and now plug in the charger too, and do an additional 20 minutes or so of gaming, and I'll check back and we'll see how hot it's going to get. So in order to get it really hot, I'm playing a game called Shadow Gun. This is on the 60 frames per second setting, and I also have it set to the highest possible visuals. I think this game is more demanding than what PUBG would be, and that is why I'm doing it. So PUBG, I think, even on the high settings, don't think it'll be quite as demanding as this. Now the GPU, which is that Mali G76MC4, is keeping up fine with the gameplay here, but I can actually monitor the frames per second. This is the game turbo that they have built into the firmware, and you can see it's currently about 46 frames per second, so it's not even able to get to 60. So that's how I know that this GPU is being pushed here, and the CPU cores to the absolute max. Occasionally you'll see a little bit of a stutter there. So I've got about 7 minutes more. That will make it 20 minutes gaming with the brightness currently set on maximum. Charging, as you can see, with the case on it. So the absolute worst case scenario for thermals right here. Okay, so it's now been 25 minutes of gaming, charging at the same time. And that's a total of 2 hours and 25 minutes of continual gaming that I've done. So let's see how hot it is now. It should be a lot hotter with the case, of course, and the fact that it's got the charging too, so the battery is probably getting a lot warmer. So still on the front, about 40 degrees, as you can see there. Getting close to it, 38. And let's have a look at the rear of it. So just pull the cover off and take a look now at these thermals on the back here. So that's just around where the camera module, slightly warmer now, see almost up to and over 41 degrees here. So eventually it's getting up. Now, if I was to game with the case on, charging at the same time, it'd be safe to say that it will probably get up then to about 45 degrees. And that would be expected, really. Now, I could do the same exact test here with my Huawei P30 Pro. I could game on this charging at the same time, and it would get up to very similar temperatures. So there are no issues with my unit here with thermals. I think it's very safe to say, just like my first video, my review that I posted, that there is absolutely nothing wrong with the thermals here on the Redmi Note 8 Pro, at least with my unit. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this video. So there's no doubt in my mind that the thermals are perfectly fine on this phone. They're just like any other mobile, really, no issues whatsoever. Now, so many people in the comments are saying that, oh, XYZ YouTuber, some Indian guy or whatever, said that it gets up to 51 degrees after 4 hours of gaming. And maybe after 4 hours, I don't know. It might do, it depends on his ambient temperatures. He could have a different thermal paste job than this one, but this particular Redmi Note 8 Pro that I have does not have issues with thermals. I believe that you will be able to game for hours on end, as I've shown you. I've done, what, 2.5 hours of gaming, and really the thermal's getting up to, what was it now, about 42 degrees, 41 degrees maximum, and that was even including about 25 minutes or so of charging and with the case on at the same time, so no concern there for me. So overall, this phone is an upgrade to me over the Redmi Note 7, definitely is, but it's just the battery life where it's falling short. And then of course, watch my full review. There's a link for that video right up now in the video and also in the description. Make sure you check that because I go over everything else, the full list of pros and cons. It has Xiaomi's typical cons, and that is no widevine level 1 cert. The video quality and audio in video could be improved upon. There's no electronic image stabilization with 4K. Open camera, I do have it. I have tested it. And sadly, in video, it doesn't add stabilization or so little electronic image stabilization that you can barely tell any difference there. So make sure you catch the first video. And thank you so much for watching this follow-up. Bye for now.